Welcome to the Innerscape podcast.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again for the second part of our conversation about narcissism. We are back with our guest from London, psychotherapist Stathi Anthopoulos. If you missed the first part, find the links in the description. And now, let's jump in. Can you give any advice to people who want to leave a relationship, even a partnership, a marriage, or just like say goodbye forever to their parents who are narcissistic?
This is probably very biased, but the first thing that I would say is find a good therapist. Because it's as you said, it's a very difficult process. But also because through that process, you have to grow. You have to develop. It's not just about taking care of yourself and going through a difficult process. You have to actually grow psychologically, not just to endure the pain, but also to become someone, to find yourself. If you've been for years in a narcissistic relationship, or even months, you start doubting your experience. You start losing yourself, disconnecting from your needs. You become an echo, right? Not always, but usually that's what's expected from a narcissist. That his voice only matters and his needs or hers. So it's very important to get support. To get support from therapy, to get support from friends, to take care of your physical health, because the amounts of stress, both of being in a relationship with a toxic narcissist and of coming out of it, is very stressful, and the body needs, you need to eat well, exercise, yoga, whatever, dance. I've done everything, so I know there's there's a lot of value there, a lot of benefit, and it's a journey. It's a journey that, depending on your personality, the level of damage, your conditioning, your cultural environment, your support systems, it may take years for you to find stability and to find yourself. I would also say that sometimes there's a hidden gift in that. I mean, that's my experience also. I did get into a relationship with a highly narcissistic person, which was very painful, very difficult. Like in my memory, it has stayed as the most difficult time in my life. But really, coming out of that, it really helped me see my own patterns much more clearly. It helped me actually see my family patterns much more clearly. So there's a lot of potential for growth there, both in terms of understanding, but also discovering yourself and becoming more fully yourself, taking responsibility for yourself, especially if you learn to deny, your needs, which makes you an ideal victim for narcissistic abuse.
So you're compassionate towards your abusers, and you need to re-identify yourself and believe that your needs matter, right? And your need is not to be in touch with them anymore.
I wasn't compassionate. I was conditioned to adapt and to take care of other people, and to not make space for my needs. It was dangerous, in my case, to have needs. So it's not just about coming out of a toxic relationship. It's also coming into a better relationship with yourself.
You have to rediscover yourself fully. Who are you without there being controlling or manipulative, I guess, over you. So if there is a toxic relationship, whatever sort of relationship that you have, you first thing, if I understand well, find a therapist or some kind of support system. The more the merrier, I guess, because the more times you share these vulnerable things with others, with your loved ones, it's the most helpful. It's more helpful. So I guess first step is to find this external help, and then after starts the internal work, how to separate yourself and rediscover yourself. And then you can start to basically separate yourself physically and emotionally from this toxic person, right? And maybe at the end you finally get out of the influence, the bad influence of this person, right?
It's very difficult. Like, there's many things that keep people in toxic relationships. Often there's self-blame. Oh yeah, if I do this, if I am that, well, it's also my. And self-blame helps with creating an illusion of hope. You know that okay, yeah. If I'm to blame, then I can do something about that, and I can save the relationship. Because we value relationships, and even the worst psychopath also has good qualities and offers things, excitement, whatever, fun. That's another issue, the excitement trap. Yeah, we need to take responsibility of creating excitement in our relationships, in our lives. Often what makes these people attractive is that they bring passion, because they don't care what the impact is. All they care is to have to satisfy their needs. So they're disinhibited. It can be fun, exciting, or attractive.
Right.
Oh, it's a passionate person. So that's another lesson that we need to learn. We need to take responsibility to find passion in our lives, in our personal lives, in our relational life, in our sexual lives. That takes responsibility and work.
And what happens if I don't want to? I just checked our questions, and in the last one there was something about managing this kind of relationship. So what happens if I don't want to leave this toxic relationship or this family, but I want to coexist with them? How can I not let them harm me but still stay, or should I just run?
Not necessarily. You don't necessarily have to run. As I said before, a lot of people with narcissistic process can enter therapy. So if you realize that your partner has these traits, it would be great to go into couples therapy. That can really help people develop that sense that, okay, taking care of the other person is also taking care of me. It doesn't have to be either or. There is pleasure in connection. It's safe to be vulnerable, so that can happen. That's if they are if they have a minimal degree of insight, of awareness, and desire to change. If not, and you want to maintain a relationship, you really have to think about safety first. So protecting yourself, depending what the harm, the nature of the harm is, by putting boundaries, by making very clear statements of what it is you want, what it is you accept, what it is you won't accept, what the consequences are. Really, really clear around that. Again, taking care of yourself, because there will be difficulty if the narcissist doesn't take responsibility for themselves to really become relational. You'll have to just be managing the situation. You can't cure them. You can't. We know that for sure. They have to consciously and willingly engage in a process of change if they are to change. Therefore, you have to really manage the relationship with boundaries, with clear expectations, and when it comes to children, if your child is narcissistic, for example, right, then it's another chapter. Yeah, what do you do?
Oh my God! Yeah.
It happens.
That's hard.
Every family, yeah, it's very hard. It's so hard. I've worked with parents. Like every family therapist will tell you, take care of yourself and your relationship for the couple, because children usually manifest a symptom in the wider system of the family. But in terms of how to be with with children, again, it's very important to be to show them, to teach them by example and experiences that being good with others makes you valuable. That your value doesn't only lie in becoming good at school or having power over others, or being good at football or whatever. There's also value. You have value, and you can experience value by supporting others, helping others, being caring for others. That's the main thing with children that parents can do. And there are many ways to do that. We don't have time to go into the strategies, but there are things you can do if you want to maintain contact, or if you have to maintain contact.
Yeah.
But also, for example, at work, if your boss is narcissistic and you're experiencing bullying, then that's a responsibility of the organization. It's a legal and systemic issue, and it has to be dealt as such. And unfortunately, a lot of HR departments work for the company and the managers. They don't work for there's a lot of research around that, how actually a lot of organizations are unable to really deal with bullying properly. A very small percentage of cases of bullying are properly examined and dealt with. Yeah. So, yeah. It's possible, but very hard, very difficult, and not always possible.
I also I don't know how to say it, because I totally forgot the name of this person, so I don't want to sound like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's basically a lawyer who's specialized in narcissistic abuse and toxic people. So she was talking about these 4 steps of how to negotiate with the narcissist. And because so many cases, we have to manage narcissistic people around us, we cannot really avoid them. She developed these strategies. So like the first strategy was to vision specifically what you really want to change in your relationship with this person. This is like the first step, because this is going to help you to really see what you want to achieve, because it cannot be unrealistic, obviously, because you realize that there's a problem, like this person is really toxic. And the second, that you have to leverage. So whatever happens, you have to feed this person's ego and kind of praise them up and like give them attention and so on. And like the third is to anticipate. So you have to try to figure out which category or like which type of narcissist this person is. And the fourth is to stand in your authentic power, that, as you mentioned as well, you have to protect yourself, you have to know who you are, and you have to kind of, make the differentiation what this person is showing to you and what you know about yourself. I don't know what you think about this, but I found this really interesting. And I think it can be a good strategy for people.
Yes. I think all these are necessary. However, just a little comment. It's not about boosting the ego of the narcissist, no matter what. It's about giving them feedback when they are being pro-social, when they are exhibiting behaviors that take others' needs into consideration, when they are being vulnerable with their own feelings, to give them feedback thank you, that's good for me. It makes me feel seen, supported, makes me fall in love with you all over again. That kind of, that's not an ego boost no matter what. We don't want to become more egoists than we already are. That actually supports narcissistic. You need to show them that you appreciate it.
Okay. So this is more just to smooth things out, like that he's on the same page with you, because information can only go into this person's mind if he feels the attention, basically. So you're not praising this person to make them more egoistic, but just to be on the same page, so the information can go into their head when your needs, when you want to show your needs or you want to reach something with this person. If I understand.
Yes, it is about making them feel safe, and showing them that it's a safe, and it's not just a safe thing, it's also a thing that others appreciate, that gives them actual value when they are more relational, more loving, more vulnerable.
Okay.
That does make them feel safe, and then they can become very empathic, actually, and very loving.
Okay.
But they have to feel, as you said, that that's a safe thing for the information to go in.
Yeah.
You can't just tell them don't bully people. It won't work. You can't punish them. It doesn't work. No.
So you have to become the manipulator to handle the manipulator.
Yeah.
It's not manipulation in the sense that you're not trying to do them something that they don't want to do. You want, or that's bad for them, or that serves your interests and not their interests. It's about offering an experience that relationships are safe, are enjoyable, are rewarding. Caring for others is something that nourishes us too. We love to care for people. It feels good, right? We don't just feel good when we receive. We also feel good when we give. And this is the narcissism of the egoist, because the egoist doesn't allow you to give. People feel very uncomfortable with compliments, or they don't ask for what they want, and that deprives the other person of experiencing the pleasure of caring for the other. That's also kind of abusive, I think.
Yeah.
So it's acknowledging their good qualities, so they feel that it's also a success, or the good deeds. What you just mentioned, when they show signs of empathy or kindness or good deeds, to acknowledge and praise them, give them the attention for the good stuff. So basically, it feeds their need to feel special, but it's feeling special for the good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You can feel special even when you support others. You can feel special even when you make others happy. There's specialness in that too, and you can even benefit, because if you support your team, you're part of the team. It's your goals can be propelled. If our goals, it's all about reminding them.
Actually, I have a question. So, Stathi, during your studies and your maybe reads about this topic, have you discovered any change that comes with the modern society that wasn't there before, for example, or anything that when you started studying psychotherapy and where you are now at your career, has narcissism changed in any way?
There has been a whole debate around our times being extremely narcissistic, given social media, given celebrities, and I think there's truth in that. And there is also a lot of research. But as with most things, like it's not social media that makes us narcissistic, but they can. Because social media can promote narcissism, but they can also promote mutual support. They promote community. It's how we use them, how we be with that. The phenomenon of celebrity is perhaps a bit more difficult. Like usually, celebrities get trapped in being seen, that their ability to see others kind of atrophies, because they're always either protecting themselves or having to expose themselves. So they develop so much that bit that the other bit atrophies. It shrinks, the bit that they focus on others. So there are dimensions of our community, of our society, that can promote a more narcissistic process. But we are learning, and we're adapting, and we're developing, and we're learning how to better use processes, dynamics, tools. Like 15 years ago, the first bits of research around the use of social media was that, because it really is a narcissistic process. It's about putting yourself out there and getting likes, or not, and investing and feeling, going up and down in your emotions. That is the narcissistic process. But the more research that was done, the more it pointed to it's not the medium itself, it's how we use them. Do we share things that actually have something to offer to people? Do we take part of in groups that people are really invested in receiving, giving and receiving support and information that's relevant? That kind of thing. So yes, our society becomes more, has more platforms, let's say, that could promote narcissistic ways of being, but we also have to learn how to use the platforms, and that can actually turn it around. Facebook can be an extremely useful platform for information, support, knowledge, goodness in the world. That's my take.
Yeah, definitely.
my experience. But also because you asked about my training, and for the first 15 years when I came to the UK, I worked in mental health. So I worked for the NHS and therapeutic communities with people with severe mental health difficulties. A lot of them diagnosed with personality disorders, including narcissistic. So I've seen how people can change. And I was kind of privileged because I stayed with both in the NHS and another organization for more than 5 years. So I got to see how people would progress in a long period of time. Because it's easy to say, oh well, I went for therapy, I had 12 sessions and nothing happened. Yes, narcissistic personality disorder, if you want to use a thing, is something that starts in late adolescence and consolidates until you hurt someone or yourself, and then you're forced into therapy. And so it takes time to undo all that, right? It's easy to say, okay, yeah, we gave them 12 weeks of intensive therapy, nothing happened. It's not how human psyche works.
Oh, no.
So there was a lot of bad research that created a lot of prejudice against people with severe narcissistic disorders or processes.
Okay. Even if it's extreme, it can be changed, right? Just people give up. People gave up on them early on, and then they didn't have time to develop the change.
It may be that you have to manage the relationship. It may be that you have to leave a relationship if the person with a narcissistic process doesn't have any insight or willingness to work on themselves. Yes, you may have to leave, or you may have to manage. But people with narcissistic process can become very empathic, can become loving people. Even people with psychopathic traits, like the example of James Fallon, right? He wasn't, he wasn't experienced as the warmest person in his family, but he was loved and valued, and people wanted them in their social gatherings. It's not just about management; it's personality change.
Yeah. So even if it's the worst case, it can be changed. Just takes longer time. So that's hopeful. I think it's good to hear.
Some people will never change
because they choose to, or they don't get the right help, maybe, right? But they have the ability to change, basically.
Yeah, they don't have the resources, they don't have the support, they don't have some addictions, as we said, kill.
Yeah. Okay.
Careful with all these trends and what you find online, because even if you read through the narcissistic qualities and you can identify with a few, or you can point your partner to have these traits, as long as there is a willingness to change, to improve, and there is a balance between the positive and the negative traits, then we have to be very careful to diagnose and self-diagnose ourselves. As you said, Stathi, that's not our job. That's the therapist's job.
The therapist can help us self-diagnose whether we're narcissistic or egoistic.
But it's bringing hope to know that anyone can change if they have the right help and if they're willing to do the work, and also gives clarification what you said, that we all have a kind of narcissistic side in us, and we shouldn't label everyone just like that, because toxic and abusive narcissism is something completely different. So let's make the differentiation first, and then especially first ask for help, and then they're gonna help you to identify in case you are or you're dealing with a narcissist, a toxic narcissist person.
And also, depending on at different times, we all slide up and down the spectrum. There are times where we feel insecure, and we might become a bit more narcissistic in our behavior and relationships.
Okay, interesting. Wow, it's a super complex topic. I love it.
Yeah. Stathi, have you ever recognized that you were a full-on narcissist?
I'm not a full-on narcissist. I've never been a full-on. You're talking about the extreme narcissistic, manipulative, lying. No, but I would say that I was quite towards the other end of the spectrum, which is equally unhealthy. The one where I completely denied my needs. I was completely obsessed with proving that I have value by becoming in my family. There's the thing about academic knowledge, that's a big value, so I clung to that, right? Course after course after course after course. That's a deeply narcissistic process, but not in that part of the spectrum of the extreme narcissist. I was more quietly trying to be important, trying to get a sense of worth.
You were more harming yourself than others, I guess.
I don't know, because by not being available, you hurt others. Not in the conscious, manipulative, damaging way, but and myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I deserved love, relationship, friendship, right? I had to earn that. That's the. But I didn't do it in a way that was directly hurting people. But you cannot not hurt, or mostly I would say it's that I wasn't able to develop as full, healthy, supportive relationships because I was so invested in that. It's not that I damaged the relationship. It's more like, I didn't develop. It took me years to accept that I don't need to prove myself. I have value. I don't only have value if I get good grades, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so many people have been in these shoes that we have to prove that we have to prove that we are valuable, we're worth it, and we don't believe that we deserve, as you said, a love, a friendship. No, it just blows my mind, because I think when we hear about narcissism, we label it as this like abusive and awful thing. We overlap it with psychopaths and sociopaths, and we just throw these labels out. But when you actually dive deep into the meaning behind and all the attributes, we all carry these. But it has 50 shades, yeah. So, Stathi, thank you so much for this incredible and eye-opening conversation. I feel we have learned a lot. So I hope you enjoyed talking to us and being on our show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I want to say before we got interrupted that psychopathy and sociopathy, they have a lot in common with narcissism. As you said, people often can confuse the two, but it also has its own phenomenology. It's also very different. Like, we would need a different episode to really address that, and I'm happy to do that if you're interested, because there are 3% of us are psychopathic. It's not a small number. We all have brushed shoulders with them, yeah.
Okay.
And they can do a lot of damage, yeah.
Okay. Well, then hopefully we can have you back to the show later to talk about these or other topics. That would be super cool.
Yeah, definitely. I could talk hours about these things, but unfortunately time is up.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes,
and
thank you for inviting me.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this episode, please leave a review, share your thoughts in a comment, and spread the word of our podcast so it can reach many who might need to hear it.
Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and leave us a 5-star rate if you're happy with our podcast, and/or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content and discussions.